showed that sweet Venetian work under the shape of a confessional. It was my confession of following a man I didn't know. And the visitor of the show had to sit down where the priest normally sits and listen to that confession about following a man. And that slipper that was initially shown differently. How do you do the photo? Yeah. So each time, one photo every hour for each slipper in my bed. I'm going kind of quickly because I'm supposed to talk for 45 minutes. And I have a lot of projects, but if you want to stop me and ask anything, I prefer answer questions and talk by myself. I was, when I did that, so yes, I'm taking a kind of speed, yes? And you stop me if I'm going to go to the end. I was invited by somebody that saw the show at the Modern Art Museum that shows the people sleeping in my bed. I was invited to make a show in New York. There were 10 French artists, and there were 9 very chic places in Soho and 1 in the South Bronx. And so, since I was in the new little one, invited at the last minute, I obviously got the South Bronx. The South Bronx was kind of, for me, I mean, there was a huge fear in America about the South Bronx and the ghetto aspect of it. You know, generally, when you are born there, you stay there. And there were not many white Americans in the South Bronx. And I thought that showing the story about people sleeping in my bed in such a difficult territory with people not having any place to sleep for most of them was a little obscene. So I asked for a week to try to find something else. And actually it was my first gesture as an artist, a conscious gesture. I mean, like, I did a work for that place, for that gallery called Fashion Moda in the South Bronx. And I had a week, so I decided to stop one person a day and ask just to let them do whatever they wanted with me. This was to play with the dangerous aspect of the South Bronx. In the same time, to play with the ghetto aspect, I asked them to take me to a place they would never forget if they were one day able to leave the Bronx. So it was one person a day. This man, for example, was just coming out of 7 years of jail. He's the first one I met, I was lucky. And he took me to where his house was before he was for 7 years of jail. Fortunately not for rape. And if there is graffiti all over, it's because I did 8 stories and 8 photos. I pushed in them in the so-called gallery. That was one of the first places where there was graffiti art at the time. This was in 1980 or 81. And the night before the opening, somebody, or several people, we don't know, get inside the gallery and covered it from ceiling to roof of graffiti, including my photo, which were much better after, I must say. Since they did it kind of carefully, as you can see. I just took, this one didn't care where it took me, as long as I was taking a photo from down and he was higher. And there were other spots, like somebody took me to the lens at the Pope Bless when he was in the Bronx. I mean, each one having his own story. A guy took me, I don't know if I have a photo here, yeah. He took me to a bank because the dream of his life was to have a bank account someday. So he took me to the place of his dreams, which was the Citibank of the South Bronx. And each time there is just a photo. It was simply pushed in on the wall since I just had a week to do this. Quickly after, and I'm going like a train to tell the story, but since I had been following that man for a year all over, I felt the desire to be followed myself. So I asked my mother to hire a private detective to follow me. The idea was to compare my vision of what was happening to me to his vision. So on the top part, it's my self-portrait with a description of what happened that day. And the bottom part is a report that the detective sent to my mother and the photo he took of me that day. Obviously, we had a very different approach. Whatever it was about, we were, you know, if I was saying, I bought such a newspaper, I would just give the address of the Stand's news. If I said I put flowers on the grave of so-and-so, it would just say which flower it was. It was really strange. There was never a single common interpretation of anything. That's me that day. I tried to do things that were normal for me, except. So that was interesting because all the photos of the detective, without any exception, you don't see me. They are all out of focus, or there is something. But he was never able to take a single shot of me where you can see me. I don't know if it's tactic to go on or what. I was also told to just put 50 slides, so the whole project is not there. So that's me that day. That day I went to the Louvre. I really love that painting of Titian called The Man with the Glove. And I wanted to be sure the detective would mention that painting, so I stayed without moving 1 hour in front of the painting. And he did mention the painting in his text. That's the only thing that really worked.
Does he attribute it?
Huh?
Does he attribute it?
This I don't remember. I will have to, it's in the catalogue. Maybe no. I think she stays in front. Maybe it doesn't. Yes. I have to see. That was one of the photos of the detective in the contact sheet. So I don't know why, but that was 35 shots of myself and that one. He was a very bad detective. I kind of found him immediately after 2 hours. And I did my best all day long not to lose him because it's quite expensive, you know. So, except that at 7 in the evening, I went in the theater to see a Fassbinder movie. And obviously I didn't like Fassbinder because I must say that I wanted to have an image of him. It was not to play, but it was just to, for me what's interesting in all those projects, like the Sleepers, like Follow, is the fact that you take a completely arbitrary situation, somebody you don't like the man I follow, somebody you are not attached to, and just by the strength of obedience to the ritual, they become important and necessary. And like the sleeper in my bed, when they stopped sleeping in my bed, I felt that bed terribly empty. And it was very hard for me to sleep in that empty bed. I went to the hotel the next night. And the man I followed, I was not attracted to him, I was not interested by him. But every piece of information became necessary just because I was obeying to that rule of just being with him. And suddenly, nothing was important except everything. And just to know the fact that he turned left and had a sandwich became a piece of important information, like a caricature of a passionate relation. Except that it was all arbitrary at the beginning, and it was just the obedience to that lay that made it work this way. And the detective was the same, like, I knew he was paid by my mother, I knew he didn't have any interest in me, but the fact there was somebody that wanted to know everything about me, that needed to know that at 10:05 I did this or that, I forget he was paid, he became like somebody obsessed with me in my mind. So in the same, I wanted to have an image of him, and I asked somebody to follow him starting at 5 o'clock. I went at 5 o'clock precisely, and I asked that friend to follow anybody that would be behind me. And so he was followed, and that's when he decided to stop following me. So I know where he went. He went to see a porno movie while I was going to see Fassbinder. And when I came out of the porno movie, since I didn't like the Fassbinder movie, I came out earlier, so he lost me. And strangely, I was really, I felt betrayed by him, like he didn't love me enough to stay with me, even if I knew he was paid and it was just one job among the other. it's incredible how it's easy to believe your own story, even if you know how arbitrary they are.